show your appreciation, and more. With the whole event officiated by Judge Diane DeAugustini. Register at westbloomfieldchamber.com. Entry is $20 for non-members and $10 for members. We'll see you January 13th.
When the temperatures are chilly, being together warms the soul. Keep the winter fun going. Help protect yourself and those around you by keeping your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the Megacast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the Megacast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. Catch some exciting games of basketball from high schools all over at the Laker MLK Classic. Cheer on your students and their competitors as they honor the freedoms and rights Dr. King fought to protect. Bring a friend, your family, or an acquaintance and get a good seat before 11 a.m. Monday, January 16th at West Bloomfield High School. The Lakers MLK Classic.
You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page. Our first story comes from Susan Selesky at the Detroit Free Press. Throughout this month, Kroger and Gleaner's Food Bank will be teaming up to host food drives across Kroger's 93 stores in southeastern Michigan. Locally, collections will be taking place on the weekends over the next couple of weeks. This directly from the article from Susan Selesky. Quote, collections will take place this Saturday and Sunday at Kroger stores in Wayne County. That's January 14th and 15th. In Macomb County as well. And on January 21st and 22nd, in Oakland County. On January 28th and 29th, Kroger stores throughout the Tri-County area will participate in the final weekend of this food drive from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on collection days. Volunteers will also be participating on hand at participating stores to distribute lists of needed items and accept donations. During the food collection events, part of Kroger's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste initiative, the supermarket giant is asking that customers donate non-perishable items, and closed quote. The drive will help to deliver, helps to address food insecurity for over 1.1 million Michiganders facing this issue daily. Among the items that you may donate include, but aren't limited to, canned meats and fish, canned vegetables and fruits, hearty soups, baby food and formula, peanut butter and jelly in jars, nutritional supplement drinks, and Ensure, and so much more. This marks the 12th year of the partnership between Kroger and Gleaners to bring in food, non-perishable items for those facing food insecurity. In 2022, the company and the nonprofit were able to collect over 100 tons of food in this effort. So another great year of service ahead at your local Kroger store. If you're over there getting your groceries, think about those that maybe aren't able to get their groceries every week as you're able to do, or a few times a month as you're able to do. And if you're able to make a donation of a food item, certainly if you're able to make monetary donations to Gleaners or other food banks across your local area, we certainly encourage you to do so. Also making headlines today from Jonathan Osting at Bridge, Michigan. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel said on Friday that she will reopen her investigation into the alleged fake electors surrounding the controversy post-election in 2020 here in Michigan and across the union. Nessel said that a quote, parallel investigation and closed quote is necessary, along with the now concluded findings of the U.S. House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The core element of the investigation is a document containing the names of 16 alleged quote unquote electors, none of which were legitimate state electors in that election, whose task was to change the result of Michigan's 2020 presidential election outcome in favor of then incumbent President Donald J. Trump, who lost Michigan's 16 electoral votes to now sitting President Joseph R. Biden. Last year, Attorney General Nessel mentioned the possibility of criminal charges against these individuals in her referral to the Department of Justice, a crime that could face sentences upwards of 14 years in prison. One of the alleged fake electors from Detroit claims that they did not know what they were signing at the time as they participated in this allegedly, and that the forged electoral votes were being tallied and prepared to submit to the U.S. Congress. The alleged plot was to select false electors in states being contested by President Donald J. Trump, including Michigan, and then have Vice President Mike Pence block certification of the official electoral votes and accept instead these fake electors in these certain states, which would then flip the vote and the outcome of the election in favor of then President Trump. Investigations into this matter continue to be ongoing, and we're still awaiting potentially some charges at the federal level. Of course, many who were involved in the attack on January 6th, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol, including those from Michigan, are already facing charges. Some have been convicted and others are yet to be charged. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com on our local news page from Kara Berg at the Detroit News. 2020 didn't bring a lot of rain or snow in the Great Lakes state, with Michigan, or at least they weren't on par with Michigan's recorded weather history. According to the National Weather Service, last year was the 9th driest year on record in the history of the state. Detroit saw 10 fewer inches of rain last year than normal, with Flint and Saginaw seeing 8 and 5 inches below average, respectively. Overall temperatures were also a bit warmer than usual in 2022, with the year being the 21st warmest in Detroit's recorded weather history and the 28th warmest in Saginaw's recorded weather history. In Flint, it also capped the top 40. And this year is already off to a pretty similar start. After the extreme freeze and snowy conditions of the holiday season, 2023 has begun with above average temperatures. However, rainfall across the state is also above average. Rainfall across southeastern Michigan, however, not necessarily across the state, is above average at this time. So a little bit of a mixed bag between what happened in 2022 with, quite frankly, some drought conditions or drought-like conditions across the state with a lack of precipitation throughout the year, as well as above average temperatures this year so far. And it's only been, it's less than 10 days into 2023, of course, with this being the 9th of January, 2023. But so far, above average temperatures in January and above average precipitation for the month as well. So a little bit of an in-between between what we saw in 2022 and what we normally see here in southeastern Michigan. All of those headlines are on our website on CivicCenterTV.com on our local news page. You click over to that link, and at the top, you'll have additional link that will take you to COVID-19 updates from the Centers for Disease Control, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the Oakland County Health Division, as well as many of our local communities here in southeastern Michigan. You can also click through to these articles and read them in full, all their supporting materials as well, and other news stories from these different outlets. While you're there, while you're clicking through and you're reading all these articles from today that we've posted or reposted on our website and that we're linking to, we highly encourage you, as you go to these different publications and these different outlets and their websites, you explore some of their other content as well. And if you have the means to do so, we encourage you to subscribe to these publications and support journalism in your local area. We have a great show ahead on this Monday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk to Andrew Brown from Care of Southeastern Michigan about their services helping people address substance use issues in our local area. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
There are many different kinds of noses. Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things. Good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
It's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28th, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. You can learn more on our website, civiccentertv.com/Megacast, a great place to find all of our full episodes and each individual interview on demand and explore more local programming in your local area. Of course, the Megacast is a partnership between a number of different community television and radio stations in southeastern Michigan, particularly in the Oakland County area, as well as statewide with our partners, including our co-flagship My Michigan TV that you could find on mymytv.com or by clicking the My Michigan TV link on our Megacast page, civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Check out all of our shows. If you're able to tune in for our live programs, you can, of course, do that Monday through Friday of most weeks, some exceptions along the way, from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. You can find us on other areas of our network, including Orion Neighborhood Television in Lake Orion and Orion Township, live to tape throughout the afternoon. Same deal with the Birmingham Area Municipal Access and their channel, or BAMA, in the Birmingham Bloomfield area. And find out more about all of their other original programming too, and community-centric, hyper-local programming across Oakland County and southeastern Michigan in your community. It all begins civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Since 1977, Care of Southeastern Michigan has been leading the charge in recovery and substance use prevention efforts here in southeastern Michigan. Joining me now to talk about all of their programs and efforts and the ways it's helping people in your local area is Andrew Brown. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you on. Tell us more about your organization. First off, just give us a little bit of the history, the background, the mission of Care of Southeastern Michigan.
Sure. So Care of Southeastern Michigan actually celebrated its 45th year of business this year. We do a ton of work in the community with youth, first responders. We're really well known for our recovery services programs. Our peer recovery coaching program is really accredited and respected throughout the state and beyond. So we really have a unique approach as it comes to substance use disorder. We work prevention to, help the students and the youth to, not use substances. We do outpatient treatment in our office and a ton of linkage to residential treatment providers all throughout southeastern Michigan and beyond. And we also, like I said, with our peer recovery programming, we do long-term, stability recovery for when someone gets out of treatment, we're there along the way with them. Aside from that, like I said, we have our EAP. We have our outpatient services. We do work with license restoration. Our parenting classes are what we're really well known for. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a few, probably, is our parenting conference that's coming up in March. We do a ton of education around parenting, really all ages, and our parent educators are just amazing.
More information can be found on careofsem.com, careofsem.com for more information, or visit sharedetroit.org and search in there, find a nonprofit section for Care of Southeastern Michigan. for more information. And what are some of the different communities or different groups of people that your organization serves in our local area?
Yeah, so a big piece is obviously youth. We do a ton of work with community coalitions. We do a ton of work in the schools. We work with children from our summer camps all the way from preschool to 12th grade. And what we're really doing, a lot of that is prevention work, obviously education, real education around substance use and dangers around that, and making healthy choices in life. Other communities we serve obviously are the people in the recovery community, people seeking recovery from substance use. We obviously come from a multiple pathways approach, which means it's not just 12-step programs. It's not just this. It's really how can we help you recover? How can we help you find safety? We do a ton of work through our Project Box with access to naloxone. We do pop-ups in the community, just making naloxone or Narcan, which is can revive someone from an opioid overdose, available to the community. And I'm probably missing a lot, but we work with obviously employers throughout Southeastern Michigan as an employee assistance program. We offer counseling for employees, obviously confidential services. So yeah, we have a pretty diverse population that we work with.
And these aren't just programs that are centered around treatment for people that are experiencing substance use disorder, or for those that are associated with someone that may be experiencing these different issues. These are also, excuse me, they also include substance use prevention tactics too for students and for the youth. So if people are interested, if they have someone in their life that may be experiencing some substance use issues, or they themselves may be experiencing them, or they just want to get ahead of those prevention measures for their kids or their classroom, how can they get involved in some of these programs and get associated with your organization?
The best way is just to give us a call, 586-541-2273, or visit our website at www.careofsem.com. We have a list of resources, everything available there. Our front office staff is super knowledgeable. We get a lot of people, a lot of families just calling with questions, and we're there to help you. We don't turn anyone away. We want to always find solutions. I know also our Recovery United Community Center, which is in Fraser, the address is 32577 Garfield Road. That's available and open to the community. And that's just not for people seeking recovery. That's for family members looking for answers, people looking for naloxone. You can stop in. Our hours are posted on our website, but we're pretty much open till 8 p.m. most days of the week, besides Wednesday and Friday. So we're there all the time. You can stop in, just ask questions. We're here to help.
And how does your approach differ from maybe some other preventative measures that have been taken by different organizations, different individuals in the past? Because in so many cases, you're working with groups of people, but you're also working with individuals whose specialized cases may be different than other people's, or their journeys into substance abuse or in recovery might differ significantly from the next person in after them, or the person in before them. So how does that individual aspect play into these resources and these services provided by Care of Southeastern Michigan?
Well, I can speak from my own experience. I am also someone that's received services from Care. I just I have 15 years in recovery myself from an opioid use disorder, and Care was an essential piece in getting me into treatment. I came on board in 2014 to Care as a peer recovery coach, and have loved it ever since. I've obviously changed positions over the years, but I love this organization. And what I feel, Tyler, is different about what we do is I think it starts with, first, we value lived experience, and we want to celebrate that. And I can speak first to our peer recovery coaching program. We started in 2012. Our coaches obviously are from all facets of the community, but they're all accredited. They all are certified peer recovery coaches, either through state of Michigan or through other certification boards. And, we really hold ourselves to high standards with that. Across the board, I think that's really what I see different with Care, is just the professional development of staff, how, the amount of trainings we have. I just feel that we really have that whole person approach. going back to the prevention piece too. We can work with the youth, we can work with the person going through the issues, we can work with the family surrounding that, and we can work just with people having other everyday struggles too. We like I said, we are an outpatient provider. We do outpatient substance use therapy, and like I said, tons of coalitions in the community, tons of groups. I really just feel like we have a really well-rounded approach across the board, from, like I said, from substance use to questions with parenting to like I said, just I know parenting boils down to a lot, but really I think a lot of parents are afraid to reach out. We're there, whatever's going on. We have a parenting class for you, I promise.
ShareDetroit.org is one of your many locations to look for information on these sorts of nonprofits throughout the state of Michigan, and especially in southeastern Michigan. And you can also find information on Care of Southeastern Michigan directly at their website, careofsem.org. That's careofsem.org for more information on all their programs and other ways that you can get involved as well. We're joined by Andrew Brown on today's edition of the Megacast, Director of Events and Communications at Care of Southeastern Michigan. Andrew, if people would like to get involved, maybe even become a peer recovery coach like you had been and like so many others have gotten involved in being and helping other people, how can they go about that and getting into some of these programs as somebody on the side of helping others with your organization?
So, yeah, thanks, Tyler. And thanks for mentioning Share Detroit. We just want to give Share Detroit a big shout out. For Giving Tuesday, we were really honored to receive, $1,000 award for Giving Tuesday. And, visit us on Share Detroit. You can donate to Share Detroit directly. You can, there's volunteer opportunities. There's also registration for our parenting conference coming up next year. And I'm glad you brought that up about development, Tyler. We have a really unique program, especially for peer recovery coaches. It's called CareCore. You can apply right through our website. There's a link. You have to have 2 years in recovery. And like I said, we're a multiple pathways provider. So, whatever your pathway may be, as long as you have 2 years in sustained recovery, you can take the trainings. The really cool part is not only do you not have to pay for the trainings to become a peer recovery coach, we pay you to train to be a peer recovery coach. And after the training, it's a 10-hour a week apprenticeship. It's very flexible. And what we're really trying to do is, it might seem like some of us in the peer recovery field that there's too many peer recovery coaches out there. It's not the case. There's not far enough peers out there. So we're trying to really develop the workforce, give peers a well-rounded regimen of training as well as on-the-job experience. So that's available on there. We also, if people are looking for volunteer opportunities, like I said, visit Share Detroit or our website. We do own our building, so that comes with a unique set of needs. If we have any contractors or anyone in the area ever willing to, help us out, we are always, have odds and ends around the building if you're looking for volunteer opportunities. And like I said, getting involved, donations always help us. I mean, we've been around for a while. We sustain a lot on grant funding, but donations really help us support the community in out-of-box ways. Meaning, like, if someone needs a car seat, if someone needs a ride somewhere, that can help us to pay for a Lyft or a Uber to something important. Transportation is something really difficult here. I mean, we have a great bus system, but there's just needs for transportation. So any donations really go to help us doing those out-of-the-box things that can really enhance a person's journey.
More information can be found, including information on how to become a peer recovery coach at careofsem.com. You can get more information on recovery coaching at careofsem.com/recovery-coaching. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have Andrew on with us to talk about the great work that's being done at Care of Southeastern Michigan. And all that they're doing to help address substance use issues here in our local area, both prevention and those interventionary measures as well, to help people get into recovery and stay in recovery, including people just like Andrew. We thank him so much for telling us a little bit of his story also, and how he got to where he's at in his life, and now is helping take the lessons from his journey in recovery from substance use issues to help others here in southeastern Michigan. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll be joined by another one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. Usually we have these spread out a little bit further throughout the week, a couple days a week on Tuesdays and Fridays late in our shows that we talk to our friends from different Share Detroit supported charities and nonprofits. But in this case, this week, some programming notes as well. Friday, we have some other production obligations that we will be addressing in the mornings leading up to and through our usual show times. And so both the Splash Live on Civic Center TV, our flagship at 9:30, as well as the Megacast at 10 o'clock will not be running its regular show. However, plenty of great local programming across our network will continue on this week on Friday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 during our time slot, as well as our full 90 minutes of news from Civic Center TV from 9:30 to 11 o'clock. We'll have plenty of programming to cover that day. Just won't be our usual programming on the Megacast on Friday. Same thing goes for Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday, January 16th. Instead of doing these shows, we'll be live from West Bloomfield High School for the Laker MLK Day Classic with games from teams across southeastern Michigan. Great girls basketball teams playing all day at West Bloomfield High School. Games from about 11 a.m. until last tip-off about 7:20, 7:30 at night, with West Bloomfield High School being that featured game in prime time. All of that happening with our co-flagship, My Michigan TV. So with that, we'll take a break. On the other side, Aisha Morel Ferguson joins us from COTS Detroit. We'll take a break and come back after this.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including our co-flagship, My Michigan TV, and find all of our programs on demand as well. Full episodes and each individual interview in case you're not able to join us for all of our live shows Monday through Friday, most weeks or throughout the year from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can always find this on demand, or maybe not all of what we're talking about is of interest and importance to you and to your lifestyle. You can pick and choose certain topics and certain interviews and watch us anytime on your time at civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now on the program is Asha Morel Ferguson from COTS, an organization that is helping to address homelessness here in our local area. Asha, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Tyler.
Yeah, glad to have you on the show today to talk about your organization doing a lot of great work and has been for decades here in Southeast Michigan. For those that aren't familiar with COTS, tell us about your organization and the services and programs you provide.
It's my pleasure. So COTS has been part of the Detroit community for 40 years now. Back in 1982, we were established as an organization to support men in particular that were experiencing homelessness. Over the years, we know that homelessness has impacted more than just single men alone. It's impacted women and families. And so our services are now tailored specifically to help families that are overcoming homelessness by providing emergency shelter, supportive housing, affordable housing. But beyond providing those supports, we provide mobility services that will help them to maintain that housing and maintain stability moving forward.
And that's so important to address not only the root issue, which is homelessness, but also what leads to that and what can lead people back into those sorts of situations afterward. Because especially in the world we're living in right now, in the economic age we're living in right now, it's tough for anyone to get by and make ends meet on a daily basis. But for those that are facing the potential of not being able to maintain their housing or other necessities on a daily basis, it's so important to provide those services. So what are some of those different interventions and those different services that are being provided to individuals that may be facing some of these issues and struggling during these times?
Yeah. So one of the most important things is childcare and child development support. So, for a lot of families that are experiencing homelessness or challenged with issues related to poverty, the cost of childcare, the availability of childcare is often a barrier for them. And so one thing that we've been providing consistently is on-site childcare at our emergency shelter that's open to all families that are connected to our programs, whether they live in housing now or whether they are actually at the shelter. But then we've also expanded to provide expanded childcare services for children ages 2.5 to 5, over and above the Bright Beginnings Center, which serves children from 6 weeks to 2.5. And then we've expanded, especially since COVID, to provide a learning lab. And this space provides tutoring, academic support to help those students that are learning through virtual means, to provide after-school support to help those students that are trying to get caught up, because we realized that COVID had a huge impact on learning. In addition, we provide mobility coaching services and help families, both the children and the parents, to set goals, attainable goals, and we support them as they try to reach those goals and as they set new goals from there toward their stability and their long-term success. So between mentorship, coaching, child support services, workforce development, those are all additional services over and above that that COTS provides to help families to establish that stability and to thrive.
If people or families are in these sorts of situations where they may be soon to be facing homelessness, have faced homelessness, and maybe beyond the initial part of that issue, how do they get in contact with your organization and get access to some of these resources?
So they can reach out to us at 313-576-0201. That's the way that they can connect with us, and they can ask questions as it relates to how to get connected with our support services. Our coaching is not just for families that are in shelter. They're for any families that are experiencing these hardships that want to try to have help to overcome them and possibly even prevent homelessness if possible. But our shelter services, they can contact us for that, and we can always point them in the right direction so that we can get them the help that they need.
So generally, Asha, how are people coming to COTS for these services? Is it generally from referrals? Are you reaching out to people that are in these situations, or are they coming straight to you through these different resources such as the web and, of course, over the phone?
Yeah, so CAM, there's a platform in the city of Detroit called CAM that all shelters are connected to. And it's kind of the overarching framework that helps to provide the intake services. And so depending upon your need, they would work to point you in the right direction. So we receive quite a few referrals from there for families that are experiencing homelessness, and they refer to other agencies as well, whether it's an unaccompanied youth experiencing homeless, and they'll refer to a different agency, or a single woman or a single man, or whatever that might look like. They make those referrals based upon what each shelter can support. And so most of our shelter referrals come through that particular means. But we receive calls all the time. Oftentimes people have reached out to us online, on social media, to ask for support or get some direction. And we're responsive to all of those needs.
We're joined by Asha Morel Ferguson on today's edition of the Megacast, joining us from COTS, where she serves as their Chief Development Officer. You can get more information and get in contact with them about their resources by visiting cotsdetroit.org. That is COTS Detroit, COTS Detroit.org, or go to sharedetroit.org and explore not only COTS and their services and opportunities, but also those of over 320 other charities and nonprofits across Southeastern Michigan. And Asha, coming up, we have a really great event in just a little bit over a week that's going to help to support a lot of these different programs. Tell us about Soup City 2023, now live and back in person.
Yeah, so we're excited to be back in person. It's been 2 years, and we've had the last 2 events that we've done virtually. And so Soup City has been going strong now for about 24 years. So we're greatly excited to be back in person. We're going to be at the Marygrove Conservancy on January 19th. We're looking for folks to come to learn more about COTS, to hear more about the testimonies from some of the families that we've supported over the past year. and to figure out how they can partner to support families in the community as they seek to establish stability. And so they can find information online at cotsdetroit.org/Soup City. If you visit us and on our homepage, you'll see a link right there to Soup City on that homepage that'll take you to all the information. But we're excited. There's going to be a variety of restaurants. So the event usually has about 25 to 30 restaurants that partner with us, and they share small tastes of soup or small plate items, desserts. And so you stroll through and enjoy those. There's a charity casino happening that night. And then we have a charity concert being presented by Alexander Zonjic and Thornetta Davis. And so we're so excited to have them join us as well and have their support. They're longstanding partners of ours, and we're grateful for their partnership and their support.
More information can be found on cotsdetroit.org, COTS Detroit.org, or go to sharedetroit.org as well to learn more information and get all that you need to know about Soup City 2023 live and in person January 19th at 5 p.m. at the Mary Grove Conservancy on McNichols in Detroit. Doors open at 5 p.m. And again, learn more information by visiting COTS website at cotsdetroit.org. And you mentioned there's going to be food and there's going to be entertainment. What are some of the restaurants and entertainers that will be there? So if people want to go out and just have a good time, but also support a good cause, they kind of know what's going to be available to them.
Absolutely. So we have 220 Merrill is going to be in the house. Soil to Service will be there. Smith & Co. Joe Louis Southern Kitchen is coming. Pharmacy Foods, Better Detroit Brownie Company. There's so many more restaurants, and we're excited about all the good food that they're going to bring our way. And then, as mentioned, Alexander Zonjic and Friends, the Motor City Horns are going to be in the house performing. Thornetta Davis is coming to bring us her soulful bluesy voice, which we love so much. And so the event is also at no cost. So we are, hoping that folks that want to come and have a good time, for a good cause, that they will be led to make a gift that their heart leads them to make and support these initiatives. But we want to just see everybody in the house. We want to share the work that we do and celebrate being able to be in person again.
More information can be found on cotsdetroit.org or by visiting the Share Detroit platform at sharedetroit.org as well. We're joined by Asha Morel Ferguson on today's edition of the Megacast, Chief Development Officer at COTS. Again, cotsdetroit.org for more information. And all these different services from Asha in your organization and many other nonprofits too, they're really supported on the community level by, of course, donations and by the goodness in the hearts of others, but also by volunteering their time, giving their time also to support these efforts. What sort of volunteer opportunities are available through COTS?
So we have a variety of volunteer opportunities, whether it comes to families coming to read to our kids during story time, or even host game nights at the shelter for families that are there, just to give them some form of creative entertainment and creative outlet. We've had some volunteers come in and bring crafts to our families and let the kids engage in crafts. On any given night, our shelter could have up to 100 kids. And so being able to provide activities like that through volunteerism, it really does make a difference for our families. We also have volunteer opportunities available through the special events. So if someone wants to volunteer to help us pull this event off and make it a great experience for all of our attendees, we'd love to have their help there. And our volunteer experiences can also be found online. And so they can visit us online for more information and figure out how to get involved.
ShareDetroit.org. You'll find a lot of that information just by going to their Find a Nonprofit section on their homepage and searching COTS, COTS. You'll find a lot of information about how to get in contact with them, the services they provide, some items that may be of necessity to them, and of course, to other charities and nonprofits in that sector and others across southeastern Michigan, as well as info on job and volunteer opportunities too, not just with COTS, but with organizations of all different kinds that are providing charity and nonprofit services here in southeastern Michigan. You can also learn more directly about COTS by visiting their website at cotsdetroit.org. Asha, a couple more minutes with you today before we'll need to get going and moving on. Anything else that we haven't discussed yet that would be important for our audience to consider about the issues that you're addressing at COTS or the services that are provided by your organization?
Yeah, one thing that we love to reiterate is that the work that we do at COTS, it's not by our hand alone. It requires partnership. It requires collaboration. And so we just serve to be a vessel. And we want to work and collaborate with donors, with volunteers, with partners in our community to help serve the families that have needs. And so we're grateful for that. And Share Detroit is a wonderful partner that helps to make that happen and helps to connect us to others. So, the work that they do to help COTS and other nonprofits, it doesn't go unnoticed and appreciated. We are so grateful. So that's what I want to share today.
Well, Asha, we appreciate you joining us and telling us more about COTS and of course, previewing this great upcoming event happening January 19th, 5 o'clock is when the doors open at the Mary Grove Conservancy in Detroit. You can learn more on cotsdetroit.org. Asha, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Tyler.
cotsdetroit.org or sharedetroit.org for more information. Keep up to date. And one more time, January 19th, 5 p.m., Soup City 2023, the live edition, back in person and live for the first time in over 2 years. Mary Grove Conservancy on McNichols Road in Detroit. You can find more information on the website, cotsdetroit.org. We'll take a break on the Megacast. Coming up on the other side of the break, last night was a big night here in Detroit for sports fans, especially those rooting for the Detroit Lions. Unfortunately, didn't quite go the way we were hoping it would go across the board, but there's a lot to be positive about, both from last night and in the future with the Detroit Lions. I'll give you my take on that and a little bit more on the other side of this break. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
The heart of winter. It beats inside you. It's that thing urging you outside when the forecast calls for snow. Some were born with it. For others, it was carved with care. But for all who take winter to heart, it's time. Feel the rhythm of the season and pursue your Pure in Pure, Michigan.
Wake up, Greater West Bloomfield. Start your mornings with The Splash and tune in for The Splash Live. Get acquainted with people, places, and activities that are live, local, and for you. First thing in the morning, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. on our Civic Center TV YouTube page, or watch us live at Civic Center TV or on Facebook. The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live update show.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15. And by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full programs and each individual interview on demand as well. CivicCenterTV.com/megacast, the place to go for that. Join us each and every day live from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. across our network in most places, live to tape in others such as Orion Neighborhood Television and Birmingham Area Municipal Access for our coverage each and every week. And join us, of course, on demand on your timer, topic to topic, day to day, whenever you can tune in. Always thank you and encourage you to stick with us here on the Megacast at CivicCenterTV.com/megacast. Well, last night, unfortunately, spelled the end of the Detroit Lions regular season, and there won't be a playoff appearance in 2022 for the Putty Cats after their 20-16 victory over the Green Bay Packers on the road at Lambeau Field in a back and forth game that for a while looked like it wasn't going to go in the Lions' favor. Unfortunately, the reason that the Lions won't be in the playoffs isn't because of their performance on Sunday night, but rather their performance across the season. In particular, on Sunday night, it was the performance of the Seattle Seahawks that ultimately spelled the end of the Detroit Lions season, with many going back to last season, came back to the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford in 2021, where many Detroit Lions fans became fans of what was known as the quote-unquote Detroit Rams. Once again, coming back to that last night as the Seattle Seahawks faced off against Los Angeles in Seattle with the 12th man on hand and that loud, raucous crowd that they always have at Lumen Field in Seattle. And that was also a very interesting game that was a little bit of a back and forth. It could have gone either way. A lot of luck was involved to even get it to overtime, where it ultimately ended in a 16-19 score in favor of the Seattle Seahawks. And many would argue that the refereeing, the officiating in that particular ball game last evening, was awful. I would also say it's that. Now, typically, I'm not one to be in the camp of blaming the refs for a team's loss. Ultimately, you've got to outplay the situation that you're in. And in that case, the Los Angeles Rams didn't do that. It's evident by the way that they played. It's evident by the fact that Seattle, despite stepping on their own shoelaces and tripping back and forth, left and right all throughout the game, were able to stick with the Rams and ultimately bested them at the end. Baker Mayfield had a chance to hit a receiver wide open, basically a guaranteed touchdown, underthrew the ball, and it was picked off by none other than former Lion Quandre Diggs. So once again, Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn come back to haunt the Detroit Lions, this time becoming the reason they're not in the playoffs. Quandre Diggs, former Lion on the Seattle Seahawks, spelling the end of the Lions season. But as much as the officiating was garbage in that game and questionable in Green Bay, ultimately this comes down to a couple weeks ago. The Lions had a chance to secure their destiny and make none of this matter last night. If they beat Carolina, they go in, they take care of business on the road. Maybe, they don't get so down on themselves as it's seen by body language and by effort on the field on Christmas Eve. We're telling a different story right now, a miraculous story of a team that came back from being 1-6 to not just making the playoffs as a wild card, but potentially being a contender to go all the way in a pretty weak overall NFC. The Lions would most likely have been going up against the Minnesota Vikings in the first round, a team that won the NFC North division despite being a hot pile of garbage in the Minnesota cold. That could have been an opportunity for these Lions. That being said, you look at this season's performance versus last season versus recent seasons, and you've seen vast improvements in this team. A team that's young, a team that's got a lot of youth that played at a veteran level. 9.5 sacks on the season for Aiden Hutchinson, including 2 last night against Aaron Rodgers. One that I thought should have also resulted in a fumble, but ultimately the Zebras didn't agree with that, and they make the final decision. I just sit at home and yell, annoying my neighbors. Nobody knocked on my door, though, so that was at least nice. We'll see about what happens going forward, but that's besides the fact. Last night, a great performance by the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, again, had a solid game. Was he great? No. Was he good enough? Absolutely. Was he pretty good? Absolutely. I'd say he was, too. 23 for 34 passing last night. No interceptions, no touchdowns, averaging about 6 yards per throw with passer rating of 85.9, besting a future Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers, who had similar numbers on the other side with a little bit less output, throwing for 205 yards and a passer rating of 83.1. But the Lions were able to take care of business on the road last night, and over the last 10, 11 games of the season had been excellent. Again, starting the season 1-6 overall, looking like this team was going nowhere quickly and may not even surpass their 3-13-1 record from a year ago. And instead, end the season with a winning record, 9-8 overall, having bested the Chicago Bears 2-0 in the season series. Of course, the Chicago Bears, the worst team in the league, now have secured the number 1 overall pick after what was just a fantastic finish to the Lovie Smith era in Houston, where all they had to do was lose that game, or at least tie that game, and they'd have a number 1 overall pick. And instead, they go for 2, they score, they beat the Colts, and now not only do they not have the number 1 overall pick, they're once again doing a coaching search this summer, this fall, winter, spring, summer, for next fall. Now I'm all caught up. Lions across this season, though, vast improvements over past years. If you look at just their comparisons from this year to last year, in terms of yards, points for, they scored 453 points in 2022 versus last year, same number of games, 18 games both years, 325 points. They gave up 467 points across the season in 2021. This year, down 40 points, while also increasing their output of over 130 points that they scored, the Lions scored this year versus last year. They're improved in the skill positions, bringing in DJ Chark, a guy that can be a target down the field, but also in short range situations. Amon-Ra St. Brown, their slot receiver, the best receiver in that core at this time, took big strides. And near the end of the season, having Jamison Williams, JMO, coming back into the fold off an injury, and not necessarily having the most stellar output we were hoping to see from a guy that's a first round pick, but also wasn't getting a lot of the targets. Also didn't have the full chemistry in tune with his team and with that offense, having missed the majority of the regular season due to his injury that he of course suffered in college. So the question now becomes, where do the Lions go from here? 9-8 season, just missing the playoffs, all of this momentum. The same old Lions are gone. Something is different here. This culture is different. The way these guys played in that situation last night, I think, says all you need to know about where the Detroit Lions are, where the Detroit Lions are going, and the potential that they have. It's easy when a team across the country, 3,000 miles away, loses and seals your fate to just give in, give up, play at half speed, 60%, 50%, 40%, and do what you did in Carolina and finish with an 8-9 overall record. Still a vast improvement. Hey, I said this team had 7 wins in them at best before the season. That wasn't a confident 7 wins. That was I'm thinking 6, but I'll say 7 and try to be an optimist. This team outdid that. Starting 1-6 overall, there's no reason this team should have been 9-8 to finish the season, besting the Packers twice, winning on the road with a chance to maybe make the playoffs in Green Bay, until it was flexed to 825. And the Seahawks, of course, took care of their own business in Seattle and spelled the end. But what we have now in Detroit with this Lions team is something we haven't seen in a very long time. Momentum and the ability to build off of what happened in 2022, come back in 2023, and potentially be the favorite to win the NFC North and potentially be a contender in the NFC come playoff time. Think about what we have. Now we've got young guys that are talented on both sides of the ball. DeAndre Swift took big strides in the second half of the season. Jared Goff, maybe not the quarterback of the future, but a serviceable quarterback, a beyond serviceable quarterback that we have right now. He's not necessarily making the greatest throws. His arm talent has been questionable from week to week. There were some passes last night that were very much underthrown or different parts of his progressions that maybe he didn't see in game action. And you can question whether or not he should have been able to make those plays at those times. But you look at the last 11 games of the season. You look particularly at the last 9 games of the season, 0 turnovers for Jared Goff, no interceptions in the last 9 games. And out of the last 11 games, he's only thrown 1. Only threw 1 interception the second half of the season. You look at his career stats, best year he's had throwing the ball since a 2-year period at his peak in Los Angeles, including a year he was a Pro Bowler and a year he made the Super Bowl. That's a huge improvement, especially from what we saw in the first 7 games from Jared Goff. They are wickedly talented in the skill position, particularly in skill position of wide receiver with Amon-Ra St. Brown, potentially Chark coming back, and Jameson Williams potentially having a full healthy season ahead of him next year and being a core part of this Lions offensive scheme. Now that's all coming together and questioning whether or not the brilliance that was Ben Johnson this season on the offensive side of the ball, calling the plays for the Lions, their offensive coordinator, is he going to come back or be a guy that gets an opportunity with another team, as we are today on what's known as Black Monday in the NFL, with coaches expected to be fired left and right. What the Lions do have is an opportunity to, instead of focusing on continuing the rebuild, to kick that rebuild into the next level, to take that rebuild and start drafting to contend, signing free agents to contend, and go all in next year. Lions have 2 first-round picks. Those are now locked in. Those are official. The Lions, having missed the playoffs with the results of last night, are going to have their pick, their Detroit Lions pick, at 18 in this upcoming draft. So a little bit beyond the middle of the first round. But they also have the Los Angeles Rams pick. Silver lining of them losing to the Seattle Seahawks is, well, we don't make the playoffs, but we have their pick be a little bit higher in that draft order at number 6. So you have the opportunity to address maybe filling a gap on the offensive line at the guard position, maybe adding some more depth to that defensive line, or drafting a linebacker to go alongside Malcolm Rodriguez in that core, which needs fast improvement, or a defensive back as well that you can put into that core and shore up the secondary. 2 second-round picks, theirs and Minnesota's, that were acquired in the TJ Hawkinson trade. A 3rd-round pick, a 5th-round pick, and 2 6th-round picks, and nothing but reason to be confident in the drafting ability of Brad Holmes. These aren't your same old Lions. For the first time in a long time, we have a reason to be hopeful. We have direction. We have a blueprint there. We have a team that in the locker room and on the field believes in what they're doing week in and week out, plays for each other, plays for the coaches. And in the game of football, that is so big. That is bigger than offense, defense, and special teams. That's bigger than any monster play that changes the course of the game. That's bigger than some game happening 3,000 miles away that you have no control over. In the last 11 games of the season, the Lions took care of their business, and now they have an offseason where they need to continue that. And if they do, and if they keep on this course, 2022 may not have been what we wanted it to be, but 2023 could be the best thing we've seen since the days of Barry Sanders. That's going to do it for today's edition of the Megacast. Of course, you can find our full shows and each individual interview segment on our website, civiccentertv.com/Megacast, and keep up with the rest of our network all across Southeastern Michigan, including statewide programming from My Michigan TV and hyperlocal programming from across Oakland County, Northern Oakland County, Orion Neighborhood Television, the Lakes area with us here at Civic Center TV, as well as our friends over at the Media Network of Waterford and all of their great and original and interesting original programming there. Same thing with our friends at 88.1 The Biff on the radio side. Original programming from students at Bloomfield Hills High School and in the Bloomfield Hills School District all afternoon, 5 days a week, and sports coverage from Blackhawk Sports as well. All on our network. All begins civiccentertv.com/Megacast. Big thank you to all of our guests on today's program: Andrew Brown from care of Southeastern Michigan and Asha Morel Ferguson from COTS, as well as our dedicated crew, Calvin Brown and Jared Clark at the office of My Michigan TV, clicking all the buttons, keeping us on the air, making sure we look good each and every day. That's it for today's edition of the Megacast. We'll return soon with a new episode.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps.